My name's John, software engineer with 10 years of experience, and let's make a Valentine's Day themed micro project using vanilla HTML and CSS. So this short video, probably on the order of 20 or 30 minutes, will be useful for people who are earlier in their learning to code journey. I don't plan to use JavaScript. You could do some cool stuff with JavaScript in this. I'll leave that up to you. For me, it's going to be vanilla. And we're going to be working on this repository called Vanilla Flat White, where I have a collection of micro projects. Previously, I did a Thanksgiving themed one here. And I think these are just really fun, tiny projects, but they are still fantastic portfolio pieces. So I encourage you to do something similar if you're wondering, hey, like what's a project I can add to my portfolio? We want to make something that's understandable, relatable, interesting. And one way to do that is by anchoring on local like holidays. Like what holiday was last month or next month? You know, it's February right now, so we have Valentine's Day. March, there will be like spring break. January had New Year's. So you could just do something sort of fun related to any of these. And even non-technical recruiters will get it, you know? So that's a win. Okay, let's go over here to GitHub. And we're going to look for vanilla repositories. Here it is, vanilla flat white. Okay, I think I have this one cloned already. Let's see. Let me kill my server. I was working on another project. We will just sort of close that for now. Open up a new terminal. By the way, if you're over on TikTok, and here I'm typing the word vanilla, hitting tab, autocomplete is not completing. Therefore, I deduce that I don't have this on this particular machine. I will hit the code button, copy the git URL, subcommand git clone. Now I can cd space van tab enter. And here I am. We are in this micro project repository. So if you're on TikTok, I'm streaming to YouTube and Twitch as well. You can go over there and see the full screen. Okay, let me go to the File tab. I'm in a multi-root. Here we can see vanilla already got added because I cloned it in this workspace folder. Thanks for the likes. And I'm going to expand source. You can see Blackjack Game, the Stolen Turkey. I don't know that Blackjack Game is available in the UI, is it? Okay. If I type Blackjack Game, is there? Blackjack Game. I have a project that is like half baked. Okay, that surprises no one, right? What is this? To do. I just like rickrolled myself. It just says to do. Okay, maybe we'll do that if we have spare time. It's probably going to be a separate stream. I want to keep this one focused. Follow the page if you want to see me implement the Blackjack Game in a different stream. That will need to use JavaScript for that one, right? It's like deal a hand and whatever. Okay, so I'm right-clicking to make a new folder, and this will be Dear Valentine. We'll call it, and I'm going to add an index in here. Okay. I can just ask ChatGPT. Let's see what I don't know if I've tried this before. Command I. Make a heart using only HTML and CSS. This is going to be awesome. We'll do a few variations. It's spitting out red right now. We'll check out pink. I will dive into theming. We'll keep this for now. I want to see what it looks like. I'll dive into theming. I'll give you some theme picker tools so that you can find some interesting and unique shades. We'll go over hex, RGB, RGBA, the luminosity scale, and built-in color names. So we'll get a flavor. We'll get a CSS flavor going on. Don't worry. This isn't going to be just copying whatever GitHub Copilot just did. However, don't sleep on Copilot either. In 2024, it's a useful tool that you should learn how to use. Balogan, thank you so much for the likes. Thanks for being here. Okay, so we'll take a peek at this. One thing that I want to do before that is update this index page. So here on this index page, I would like it to link out to the GitHub itself, which is missing here. So here is the GitHub itself. So here we are going to the main index, and I will be looking for the footer, which I don't see. Okay, so there's a main section, and here we will add a footer. Here I will, let's use Copilot again. Why not? So far, so good. Add an href, or add an anchor with a blank target to the href. Let's go for that. Okay. So I want to clean this up a bit. Duplicated the body, the footer close tag, but it gave me the, I should get like an HTML lint sort of thing going on. And we need the tag value. So the value will be the thing betwixt the open and closed tags. So here we have an open tag. Here we have a closed tag. We know it's a closed tag because it includes the / substring. Between the open and the closed tag is the tag value. And that will be, in the case of an anchor is a link. So it's like the link that you click to take you to a website. And the value of that link will be the text that shows up, which is different than the website that you're going to. The website that you're going to is the href value. Are there still jobs that hire for HTML? It's extremely unlikely that you are going to get a job with HTML alone. Extremely unlikely. It's also extremely unlikely that you're going to, it's actually like a 0% chance that you're going to get a web developer job if you don't know HTML. So it is a required skill, but it is not a sufficient skill set. Does that make sense? You can totally do I wouldn't do your whole portfolio this way, but you can totally do a portfolio piece that's just HTML. Really, you should put some CSS in there too. If it's all built in, plain HTML, it's going to look really gross. So today we're doing HTML and CSS. And I don't think that's good for all your portfolio pieces. You want your portfolio to show that you know how to use JavaScript. But you can have one, right? You can have one that's just HTML and CSS. That's fine. It's fun. It shows growth. Don't be embarrassed about your first and worst portfolio piece. Brag about it. Show people your first and worst portfolio piece. Then show them your awesome piece and say, look at all the growth I had in 2 months, right? I went from 0 to hero in 2 months. It's actually a flex. Kooky Codes says, nah, only HTML and CSS. Don't use anything else. Based. Rananyi. Apologies if I'm saying your name wrong. Thanks for the follow. How long does it take to get job ready from newbie level? There's a huge amount of personal level variation. I recommend you go to laterally.io. By the way, I'm the lead maintainer of Laterally. You can sign up for free. If you want an in-depth personalized analysis, you can book an expert session. You can also sign up for free, but you don't really get a session with that. Also, if you sign up for the premium limited time, you're getting a free session, which is like a, I don't know, $60 value, something like that. Okay, so personal analysis is really important for stuff like this. When, you know how you're not supposed to give financial advice unless you're like a licensed financial dude, and the licensed financial people need to take in personal factors of income, risk tolerance, and so on. We really should do educational advising that way too. I know your high school career counselor wasn't awesome, but really, if they were doing the awesome thing, they would personalize it to you. Okay, so with all of those caveats, I will talk about people in general. This may or may not work for you. And if you want personalized advice, check out the expert session. But in general, it's entirely reasonable to complete a coding bootcamp in under 8 months. You need to make sure that you're going to a high quality bootcamp, not a random bootcamp. Check out Laterally blog article number 2, Building a Quality Portfolio, subsection, Identifying a Substantive Program. I have a PhD in economics. I have published research in this area. Why should we listen to John when John talks about what counts as a good bootcamp? Because I actually have done research here. I'm not just like some influencer shilling. I mean, this is not even about my own bootcamps, right? By the way, Laterally is not a bootcamp. If someone calls Laterally a bootcamp, they're using the word incorrectly. Laterally is a bootcamp alternative. Okay, you need a 4.25 or higher, minimum 400 reviews off of course report. That is a high prestige bootcamp. Okay, so if you went to one of those, you can graduate probably in under 8 months, and then some of them have job guarantees. Oh, your question was about how long does it take? Like not what's the probability, but how long does it take? So the job guarantee in the case of Springboard, if I recall correctly, double check the website for yourself. I think it holds up for a year. So you're guaranteed to get a job within a year. And I would pretty much stick with that. I mean, they have a guarantee for a reason. There are others who do this too. I don't know. They're escaping me. Career Foundry. Career Foundry is another that had a job guarantee last time I checked. But you can check on career. You can check on coursereport.com. I'll show you. I'll show you how to check. The bootcamp will tell you if it has a job guarantee or not. So we go to browse schools. We go to all schools. We are looking, we want to sort by most reviewed, not best reviewed. I'll show you why. If you pick best reviewed, you get 5 stars with like 4 reviews. Oh, 100 reviews. Okay. That's better than it used to be. Still, this is not prestigious. You need employer name recognition. Employer name recognition requires volume. And so you want to go by most reviewed and then look for ones that still have a rating 4.25 or higher. There's Springboard, love that one. Here's Career Foundry. This is another really solid one. And they still have the job guarantee. So that's how you check. Do you see that? But in general, like a year is on the conservative side, right? Conservative doesn't mean 100% of people, but it does mean you're talking north of 80%. If you're like higher in ability, higher in intelligence, higher in grit and motivation, you'll be on the left of the distribution, which is to say that you'll land a job even quicker. It's not crazy to get a job within 3 or 4 months after graduating a boot camp. By the way, if you do qualify, so that would put you as completing the boot camp and then landing the job all together within a year. And if someone tells you that they're going to like take care of that in like 3 months, red flag. But by the way, if you go for a coaching plan on Laterally, not everyone can qualify. You need to get qualified. But if you get qualified for a coaching plan, that will include a job guarantee as well. And those programs are typically also under a year. Bootcamp is expensive, 13K plus. It varies. So like, is Career Foundry 13K? It might be. I don't know. Some of them are, that's true. Let me give you a pro tip of, no, okay, that's $7,000. Okay, so that's like half of what you just said. Although that's data analytics, I'm going to be recommending the software. Full stack web development. Still, that's like under $8,000. Oh, even if you don't sign up for Laterally, this account always has good vibes. Thank you so much. That's like the nicest thing. So yeah, there are boot camps under $10,000. They're out there. You just got to look, and there are good ones, right? Like Career Foundry is really good. Let me give you one final tip. You need to follow the page for this, because this value I'm about to give you is like $1,000. Get ready for this. Go to Springboard. Go to the scholarships tab. $1,000 Springboard scholarship. You're welcome. You're glad you showed up tonight? I'm glad you showed up tonight. You just got, somebody out there might have just gotten $1,000. And so what are their actual prices before that though? So it's like $10,000, but then it's less than $10,000 because you get $1,000 off. And that would be the part-time one. I wonder if they have a full-time one, and that might be, I don't know, more or less. Yeah, do your own research, but those 2 places are awesome. Why not just do the Odin Project? The Odin Project, there's so many reasons. First of all, the Odin Project has multiple curriculums, including Rails, and Rails is not a good curriculum. It's not ideal to break into tech with Rails, okay? That's one reason. 2, if you're looking at the Odin Project, why are you not looking at Free Code Camp? Remember, I talked about employer name recognition. Free Code Camp is like 100x better recognized than the Odin Project. Odin Project is a niche, okay? So some engineers know about it, like some smart engineers. You're probably a smart engineer. Some smart engineers know about the Odin Project. The average employer has no idea what the Odin Project is. You need to be thinking about your career development from an employer perspective. That is the mistake I see so many people making. That's mistake number 2, okay? Mistake number 1 is that you can't just say Odin project because they have various paths. You need to talk about the particular path, and Ruby and Rails are not it. You want to go full stack JavaScript, React, TypeScript, okay? Kudos that Odin React is great. Let me give them credit. It's a solid curriculum, particularly in the React. It's really solid. But that's reason number 1, because you don't actually want to do all this stuff. You don't want to be learning 2 programming languages as a junior. If somebody tells you you need JavaScript and Ruby to get a job, they're creating a barrier to entry and they are gatekeeping you. That's not optimal. It's not optimal. Just learn JavaScript. Just learn JavaScript and learn it well. You can get a job, optional TypeScript on top. If you're still studying and you haven't gotten a job yet, it's an optional improvement. Didn't I say there was a third reason? Like, I don't know. Maybe there's just 2 reasons. Yeah, so to sum that up, don't do the Odin project because better options exist. Don't do the Odin project because opportunity cost. It's great. I love it. Keep an eye on it. Maybe it'll be the thing to do in the future. Today, it's not it. That was a lot of fun. Let's go make a Valentine's Day heart. Should we do that? Okay. I think, another question here. What does full stack mean? Full stack means, okay, so what you're looking at is a website. The fact that you can see it, it has like green buttons and things that show up on my computer. That means that it is front end. It is client side, client facing. Client is like my computer because I don't have a server. Google, if I'm looking at Google, I'm the client and they are the server. If I work at Google and I'm sending and I'm like building the website, that is the server side. So client side is like the viewer, and then server side is the person who's sending the website, if that makes sense. Wherever the database is, basically. Like, you know how I log into GitHub? That means that GitHub has a database somewhere. That will be the server side. Full stack development means that you do both of those. You know how to work on the part that people see, and you know how to work on the part that touches the database. If you can do both of those, you're full stack. Does that make sense? I've asked you about Codecademy, but in terms of name recognition, and they have certs. Yeah, Codecademy does have name recognition. Codecademy is pretty cool. The problem is that it's just an online course. That's another reason not for Odin project. This is reason number 3. Thank you for jogging my memory. Reason number 3 is that online courses, when you do them alone, have less than a 5% completion rate. This is the reason MOOCs don't work. So Codecademy, as great as it is, and it does have employer recognition, and the quality is high content, but students do not complete it. Less than 5% of students complete it. Go take the Angela Duckworth grit assessment. Okay, here's the grit short scale. This one, the purple link, the one that says Angela Duckworth, not the Society for Judgment. Do this. If you get better than a 4.8, okay, you can consider just doing Codecademy. Fine. That's like the top 3, 4, 5% of people. Most people just can't do it because they won't stick with the program by themselves. That's why Latterly, sign up for Latterly, recommends project-based learning, team-based learning, social emotional learning, working with a mentor or a coach. These techniques, sometimes it's about the curriculum. Very often, it's just about getting the student to stick with the program. There's so much value there. And we know that social effects are really good at that. They're like glue for most people. So what do you recommend in place of the Odin project? Hey, Ivan, the main thing I recommend is Latterly, right? Like here I am, I'm on the Latterly account. I'm the lead maintainer of Latterly. It's fully open source, right? So this is the thing that I'm going to recommend. But if you go to the standard checklist, and I touched on this earlier, so I don't know if you just joined, Latterly recommends, quote, a substantive program. And there's multiple definitions of that. Codecademy, specifically if you do the front end pro, is good enough. Not just any Codecademy. Like I went to Codecademy. What does that mean? Codecademy Front End Pro Career Path. It's not a single course. It's a career path. That one is actually good enough. Or a reputable bootcamp. I showed you the rule for that, or a Laterally mentorship, or Coursera. And again, I should improve the wording on that checklist. It's specifically the Meta Front End Developer Certificate with Coursera. This is the other one that I do recommend. It's going to be tough for you to stick with this. I'll be honest with you. As high quality as this is probably the world's best online course, but it's still an online course, and there's real problems with that. People don't finish it. But if you take that grid assessment, if you get a 4.8, check this bad boy out. And another thing you can do is you can supplement with Laterally. So you can sign up for this and know that career services are not going to be that good, and know that you might be lacking on the social aspect, and you can pair it together with Laterally. Laterally has something called a small group. It's currently full, so you can't sign up. But if you go to your settings, you can say that you're interested in a guided small group, and you'll be on the wait list. So maybe you do the Meta bootcamp thing, and then you also get this like small group of people who you're higher social connectedness with, and that improves your overall throughput and motivation. How much is it? What are you referring to? The Meta thing? I don't know. You can check it out. If you're asking about Laterally, the price tags are right there on the website, and it starts at free. So there's free, $1 a month, and then there's premium. How long does the Meta program usually take? I don't know. Was it 7 or 8 months? I don't know. Let's see. Courses. 9-course series, 18 hours, 42 hours. A lot of this is going to depend on how much time you give it per week, right? Like this, you could knock out in a week, or maybe not. So a lot of it's going to depend on you. I think anyway, 4 to 9 months is the general range for a high quality boot camp. So I would be expecting to look at this for 4 to 9 months. Ivan, thanks for the follow. What's up, Clay? How's it going? Thanks for being here. What about Udemy? Udemy is trash. Go to Coursera. Don't go to Udemy. I've written on this. Learner has written on this. You can go to Optimality and read about. Just don't go to Udemy. Where's my article on this? Learner. Concerns with learners. And so Learner did an analysis of certs, and then I responded to it. Excuse me. You don't need to say like, what about this course and what about that course? If you apply the prestige criteria, it will guide you, and it's based on a lot of evidence. So instead of thinking about like, what about this class and what about that class, think about what about a high quality class that follows the rule that I told you earlier. So here's Learner's analysis of certs. And where's the money chart? Let's see. Here it is. Here's the money chart that shows why you should use Coursera instead of Udemy. This is the money chart. Make sense? Excellent questions, chat. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, grab a screenshot of that and we'll get back to making our heart. I'll probably cut up the stream so that like the making the CSS heart thing is like by itself. But this has been a really good convo as well. Okay, everyone's got the screenshot? All right, great. Quick reminder, if you're on TikTok, you can go over to YouTube or Twitch and see the full screen. I also recommend you follow Aline Lerner, founder of interviewing.io. Fantastic company. I've used that company. They don't sponsor me. Aline, please reach out if you want to sponsor me. I'm just recommending them because they're great. Great live. Thank you for hosting. Very welcome. Appreciate the vibes. Okay. Right. So I wanted to grab this URL so that we can have a link back here. We already have that. And what we were trying to do is create the tag value. So what does the link say? It's going to say, View this code on GitHub. Let's do an exclamation point. We love to see an exclamation point, right? All right, and so this is deployed on GitHub Pages. You can see in the upper left, so we don't expect local changes to that. Do I have a dev server in my package JSON? We have npx HTTP server, looks good. So here I'll run npm start. Needs to install HTTP server, is that okay? You betcha. Can anyone, hey chat, can anyone do a Canadian or Minnesota accent? Or tell me who else says you betcha besides Canadians and people from Minnesota? I really don't know. Okay, so we can see it showed up on the left here. If I click it, we targeted blank, so it'll open a new tab. Test mission accomplished. Do we like it on the left or do we like it centered? I kind of want it centered, huh? What do you think? L in the chat for left. And if I don't see any L's, then I'm going to center it. Okay, chat says centered. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate you. So, quick CSS lesson, how to center a div. This is not a div, this is a footer because that's a semantic tag. What's semantic mean? Semantic means related to the word. Semantic means related to the word. It means that there is an HTML tag that is a meaningful label. So here we can see body, nav, main, footer. All of these things mean stuff. A nav is like a navigation area. It's helping you navigate. Main is the main area of the page. The footer goes at the bottom. It's like where footers are, okay? These are all semantic tags. Let's see if I can find a div. The website's too high quality. Sorry, I don't have any divs. There's something called a div, which is a non-semantic. It means division, just like a part of your screen. It's a generic term, so it's low in meaning. It's low in informational content. It's low in utility, specificity, context for the user. So we try not to use it. We try to use semantic tags instead of div, basically. All right, so we got this semantic tag, but we still want to know how to center it. Let's try margin auto. Oh no, it didn't work. Why did it not work? How do I explain that? Because that's the whole footer. It's the whole footer. We don't want to center the whole footer. We want to center the link inside of the footer. Okay, so let me get rid of that margin. I'll expand the footer. I'm pressing the right arrow on the keyboard, down one, and now I have highlighted the A, which is the anchor tag, which is the technical name for a link. We informally call that a link. Technically, there's a different HTML tag called link. Developers beware. Oh no, margin auto still didn't work. Bollocks. Does anyone say bollocks? Is this a CRA or something else? No, this is not a CRA. This is vanilla HTML. This is just HTML and CSS. That's it. Fundamentals. F in the chat for fun. Dementals. You can type the whole word fun if you want to. All right, so the reason this doesn't work is due to the display type. The display type. So the anchor is a non-block display type. Basically, you can't use margin auto on it because it's a non-block display type. It's an inline display type. That means it's rendered as if it was plain text. It's rendered as if it was plain text. Think about Microsoft Word. So CSS. Yeah, HTML and CSS. That's right. That's right. So margin is a CSS thing, basically. F for Flexbox. Remy in the chat. Remy knows what's up. Yeah, and it'll be good to talk to you pretty soon. But that's right. One way to fix this is with Flexbox for sure. Another thing that I could do is so basically whether I use Flex or Grid or Block, in any case, I need to override the display type of the anchor. I'll explain what that means in a moment. Before I explain what it means to override it, let me just give you the picture of what an inline display type is. So there's this word display that controls all this. And you can see there's block, flex, grid, inline block. There's table and some weird ones, math. But these are the main ones: block, flex, grid, and inline. Inline, so think about Microsoft Word. Inline is going to be like your paragraph text. You're just writing paragraphs. Block is going to be like an image. Have you ever stuck an image inside of your Microsoft Word document? And now the text is like going all around it, right? It's basically that. It's basically that. So when we talk about text, we talk about centering the text. And that is a different thing from margin. And when we talk about pictures, we talk about like how much space you want around the picture, and that's margin, okay? So margin auto didn't work, so I'll uncheck that. And now I'll do text align center. Let me put this on the footer. And you see, I have centered it. I have centered the anchor tag using text align center because it's being displayed as inline text. It's treating it like text. It's like, yeah, I know you're a link, but I'm just gonna show you on this document like you were plain text. Why don't people count HTML as a language? Because it's not Turing complete. It is a language. It's just not a Turing complete language. Sometimes we use the phrase programming language as a synonym for a Turing complete language, as opposed to a DSL, a domain specific language. So HTML is a markup language. That's the ML, hypertext markup language. Remember when I was talking about Microsoft Word? That's basically it's markup. It's like we're writing documents. That's what it's for. You could also call it typesetting. So like LaTeX falls in here as well. Then there's this term DSL, domain specific language. SQL is an example of a DSL. CSS is an example of a DSL. You don't use them for writing whole programs. So we don't call them programming languages. They're not Turing complete programming languages. They are languages though. They're just not programming languages because they're not Turing complete. Does that make sense? But it is a language. It's a markup language. It's right there in the name. So I think people who don't count it, quote, as a language, they're just lacking some nuance or something like that, I guess. I'm totally fine with this being a text align centered anchor tag. I'll show you how to override the display just so that we can do it, but I'm already fine with this approach. Let me refresh it, okay? So now I went over here. Oh, and by the way, the joke about centering a div, there's a meme in programming about centering a div. Divs are always block style. So the text align center that I just did, it will not work on a div. You're gonna have to do what I'm about to show you on a div. So here's margin auto. Oh no, it doesn't work. That's because it's not a block. Let me say display block. Oh no, it still doesn't work. Let's see, here's block. Now I'm gonna say width 100%. Excuse me. And then here, it cannot be width 100%. So let me say width maybe 25%. I don't know, something like that. And that kind of centers it. Actually, I hate this. Here's a reason you should probably prefer the text align center is, look, it's not quite center. I need to figure out the width of this thing and do an offset. $887.19. See how that feels kind of hacky? I'm doing like an arbitrary constant offset. Isn't that weird? So you can center it, but ick. Here we'll do margin 50%. And let me do 0 on the y-axis. So margin yx is the order here. Yeah, and in this case, it's perfectly centered along the left. Can you see that? Along the left of the V, it's perfectly centered. But then on the right side, it's like kind of goofy. So this looks bad too. Here I can add some width to fix it. So I can put some arbitrary width, and then I can say offset the left of the margin by the same by half of that amount. Now I got to use the calc function, huh? 50%. minus 60 pixels. No, I think I wrote that wrong. 50%. Yeah, it's going to be equivalent to some arbitrary offset. Okay, now let's try the flex approach. So that was really weird, right? So we probably don't want to do that. So we can think about grid or flex. These are like newer, better, cooler ones instead of block. And so let's try flex. With flex, we want the parent to be display flex. See how the built-in is display block? Do you see that? Gotta go. Thanks for a great live. I need to check out laterally. See you later. Thanks for being here. Rush pure TypeScript. Not sure what you mean. What do you mean? So here I'll say display. What was I going to do? Flex or grid? Here we'll do display flex. This one is so easy. The syntax is just as easy as doing the align center. But it's a different word. Let's see. Align items center and justify content center. Yeah. And this is still a, what is the child? The child is a flex. It's going to work regardless. It's going to work regardless. Yeah. So that's how you do it as flex. Does that make sense? Maybe I'll keep this. I don't know. Part of me wants to keep this just to demonstrate how easy flex can be. But I'm not going to, because as easy as that is, it's a 3-line change. That's still more complicated than the 1-line inline text centering change. So let me refresh the page. We can do this with 1 line, so we should. It's the better way to do it, and that is text align center. Oh, sorry, I put it in the wrong place. On the footer, text align center. It's a part of CSS now. It is, but it's also not the right way to do it. It's as much as people like to flex with flex. Ooh, I know flex. In this case, it's a more complicated implementation, so we shouldn't prefer it. The simpler implementation is just to use the 1-line text align center. It's exactly what it's for. Hey, do you think an automation project would be good for a front-end dev? Not really. No. Automation, server driving, this is like a server-side concern. It could be cool as, like, if you're already employed as a developer and you're trying to up level to senior, it could be cool if you're wanting to build out your testing belt, even just up level to intermediate, really. If you're trying to up your testing belt and you want to use something like Cypress or Puppeteer, or what's the other one? Cypress, Puppeteer. There's another one like that. All right, that's going to bug me. Let's Google it. Puppeteer competitor. Playwright, that's the other one. Playwright. One of these, Clay says Just. Just is cool, but Just is not a web driver. Just is a unit test runner. Different thing. So it's not going to manipulate the whole browser, at least not out of the box, not unless you use some really crazy extensions. So these are cool tools if you want to up level through improving your testing, basically, which is very respectable. But that would be like a niche thing. That wouldn't be like general good advice for a front end developer. You'd be specializing into testing automation, right? Thanks for the likes. Over 1,000 likes. Y'all are great. Thank you so much. View this code on GitHub. So let's go write it in the HTML now. So here we are in the HTML. I could do this with, let's do a class name. Okay, great. So here we're going to target, I'll just call it centered. Text align center. That style of naming is called an atomic style. Notice here that I'm using the class attribute, not the class name attribute. because this is not React. This is vanilla HTML. I did the thing again where I keep trying to center the target. I need to center text align on the parent. Okay, there we go, fixed it. All right, this is an atomic style when you name the class name for a single CSS rule. And Tailwind implements this idea. So the idea predates Tailwind, but Tailwind has popularized it in the React ecosystem. This idea of atomic styles. So here I'll say this is really a feature commit. GitHub link. Any typewriter style game. No idea what that means. What's a typewriter style game? Here we have the stolen turkey and the blackjack game. Ooh, on a side menu. Where's the side menu, dude? How do you open the side menu? Do I have a secret menu in my app? Oh, it's like a mobile menu. And then it just says to do. How terrible is that? Why is this showing up? This doesn't show on prod, right? Did I just never deploy it? I'm going to comment that out. Let me make sure there's a GitHub issue so that I don't lose track of it. Here's issues. Do I see anything about blackjack? JavaScript, says Pink Panda. Any JavaScript, so you're asking about a JavaScript style game? Do you have live server plugin? No, I'm running a real server. So this is, let me show you the package.json file. This is running HTTP server package. So this is it's a lightweight server. It's a really good server. Thanks for the follow. If you're asking if we're going to use JavaScript today, the answer is no. This is just HTML and CSS. What was I doing? Why did I come over to this GitHub page? Oh, to make a GitHub issue. I lost my brain. Favicon, yeah, that's facts. We do need that. Turkey eyes track the mouse. Yo, that would be crazy. We should totally do that. Not today, though. Thanks, Clay. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Implement blackjack game. See the to-do comment in the code. See the to-do implement comment in the code. Now we'll come over to the code and make the corresponding to-do implement the corresponding comment over here. Okay, so we've commented this link. That's good. And then I will add the new link, which is Dear Valentine. Dear Valentine. Oh, isn't there like a metal band like that? Oh, that's Bullet for My Valentine. Oops. That sounds really dark. They are pretty dark. Yeah. Dear Valentine. We'll make the route as so. As such, as so. I don't know. And that will correspond to the folder name is the reason we're doing that. We've picked the magic HTML file index.html so that I can address the page this way, as opposed to saying foo.html and having to specify the HTML file name. I don't need to do that. I can just use the folder name instead of the file name because I've used the magic special term index.html. That's just how internet browsers work. They're all respecting this convention. Okay, so now I should see Dear Valentine, the link show up on my local host. There we go. We got Dear Valentine and the stolen turkey. So there's what the GitHub Copilot heart looks like. Not bad, Copilot. We need to rotate it. Div class heart. Okay, rotate 45 degrees, but it went the wrong direction, I guess. Yeah, there we go. So make it a minus 45 degrees. And we will be centering a div. Let's go. The heart is a div, so we will be centering the div. And this is a proper use case for a div. There is no semantic equivalent for a heart shape. It's just a generic section of the screen that's going to have style rules applied to it. This is a proper use case for a div, people. Careful, or like prepare yourselves to be riveted. Thanks for sharing the live. Thank you so much. All right, if you're riveted, tap the screen and give it some likes so the algorithm will send it around. Okay, we'll make a isolated commit for the link. We love small isolated commits. This will be feature link to Valentine page. Push that up. I'm not on a feature branch because I'm a terrible person. We're just pushing right to main. And if you were in a commercial setting, that would possibly get you fired. So, but this is open source, so we don't care. So here we are now going to focus on the Valentine HTML page and close the main page. So here we are. I'm using minus on the 45 to enshrine the vertical orientation. Refresh the page. We can see it persisted. Now, this would be a pretty cool case for grid. Not going to lie. This would be a pretty cool case for grid. We have the heart itself, then we have before and after, so it's using pseudo elements. Probably makes sense to use a heart wrapper here. I would also prefer to de-pseudonize. I hate that I just used that word, de-pseudonize. But it's true. I'd prefer to de-pseudonize these elements. That is, make them actual HTML fragments. Can I use Copilot here? Let's try. I don't know. Refactor this page so that it doesn't use pseudo elements. Is there a dash in pseudo elements? I think not, but whatever. Still using pseudo elements, bro. You didn't fix it. Let's discard that. Now we're going to go over to our friend GPT-4, who has additional brain cells. You can use the laterally custom GPT if you want to over there on the upper left. In this case, I don't know it'll make much of a difference. Refactor this HTML page so that it doesn't use pseudo elements. Let's say also center the heart vertically and horizontally on the page. I'm expecting it to use grid or flex for the vertical and horizontal alignment. Whenever we talk about horizontal centering, block and margin works fine most of the time, or the text align center thing that I did. But when you want vertical and horizontal, both two-axis centering, that's really where you do want flex or grid. If it's not one axis, it's a two-axis centering. Flex and grid is going to make that a lot simpler. Yeah, I use explicit class names over targeting with pseudo selectors. Instead of use explicit class names on the interior divs. So what I wanted to do, look at these divs right here. When I look at the HTML and I ignore the CSS, I have no reason to think this will make a proper heart shape. What I wanted to do is give class names to those so it's very clear and readable. That's what I want GPT to do. You see, now we've got left circle and right circle. Now when I read it, this is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. This is gorgeous. This is good. This is when I'm reviewing your pull request and I say, thank you very much, ship it. Okay, Command A, Command V, Command S. On a Mac, on Windows, it would be Control. Refreshing the page. Voila, we have a centered heart. Da, 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 da. We'll do an initial commit, but wait, the fun is just beginning because we are going to not use this pale, icky, vanilla white background. So this will be feet and knit CSS heart. I want some, whoa, why did I pick clone? I want some border. I want some hover effects. I want some special, unique to me colors and styles. So see this word red? Don't you hate it? It's 3 letters. Come on. Low effort type color right there. Everyone is doing red these days. What you want to do is have an off red. And white, how boring is white? You want an off white. So here's what you do. You go to color theme picker. You Google search color theme picker and you find one of these awesome things, okay? You accept all the cookies. They're going to get your cookies anyway. Who cares? Quick seizure because I don't know what that was. So here's one you could use, coolers.co, pretty cool. Adobe color palette generator, another good one. Let's take a look at that one. I'm partial to this Palatine. I really like that one, but let's take a look at some of these others. Ooh, this is cool because it can extract a theme out of a picture. That's really fancy. I don't have a need for that right now, but if I had a need for that, I would like it. We could use coolers. I'll keep that tab open. I'm also going to go over here. And here's what I like about it. It's simple, right? You have a monochromatic or a triad, or you could do a tetrad, but I don't really like that. I feel like it gets too noisy. Although you could pick the tetrad and just ignore the lower right, and then it wouldn't be too noisy. But yeah, I like this, basically. And then you can slide it around and see it'll generate you these color theory oriented designs. If you want some more pop, you can use these. Do we want a more neon look or a more subtle look? I want a more subtle look, and you could go monochromatic if you want to. I'm not in the mood. I'm feeling one of these, some reds and some purples with a little gold for contrast. That feels good to me. I like this. Let's go through 5 iterations on coolers and see if we can do something better. How do I jumble these up? You used to just click the page. They changed it. There used to just be a button which was like mix up the colors and you just clicked it. Remove, contrast, view shades. I don't want to view shades. I don't know, dude. I guess this gives us an opportunity to talk about RGB versus HSL. So this right here is called a hex color. It's called a hex because it's 3 characters long, 659157. Like a hexagon has 6 sides, right? So it's 6 characters. That's why it's a hex. It is nice because it's informationally efficient. You need 6 characters. It's not nice for pretty much every other reason. Alternatives that are popular include RGB, RGBA, and HSL. RGB means red, green, blue. And this is nice because imagine I can do an animation that is cycling through the red, and it can make it more and less red. It's really good for animation purposes because you're still in near neighbor colors. That's not true if you go for hex. And if you're just going through numbers, you're not in near neighbor colors. It like jumps all over the place. It's crazy. And same for green and blue. If you do, and this is RGB, right? So you want it redder, you slide up the R. You want it greener, you want it bluer. It's easy. It's also intuitive to like go from one color to the other. It's easy for you to figure out. RGBA includes alpha, which is transparency. So you can also make things more and less transparent. That's great for animation too. And then there's this other thing called HSL, which is hue, saturation, luminosity. What if I want the same color, but I want it to pop more or less? That's basically the idea of saturation and luminosity, or I want it to be brighter or darker. But I don't really want to change the color. You see what I mean? Then you could pick the HSL scale. And they're all just ways to like navigate through color space. They're just using different syntax. But RGB, RGBA, and HSL, and also HSLA, which is HSL with alpha, all of those use more characters and more keystrokes and more information than just hex. So it's taking more data. So at scale, that can be more costly and cause performance differences. So don't use them unless you need them, is kind of the idea. But if you want to animate along any color gradient, you're going to need them, basically. What site is that? This is Coolers, coolers.co, and I'm going to end up closing it, and we are going to go, after all, with this, although it looks like it snapped back. I thought I had the triad pick, didn't I? Okay. And you can see the URL changes when I pick the other thing. So here, I'm going to grab this, and this is going to be my theme. Here I'm on my Dear Valentine, and I'm going to say, yeah, sure, Dear Valentine, that's fine. Here I'm going to say theme reference. I'll just put a theme ref like that. Let me put it inside of the style tag. I'm not going to keep that title, actually. That's too confusing. The site is vanilla flat white. It'll remain so. Add some line breaks between my rules. Yep, Robert's right. Coolers.co. What's up, Robert? Thanks for being here. Okay, and is there a way to like download? Look at this. Love this website, yo. Okay, so we can just download as CSS. Well, that's not working. Maybe we can't. HTML, it's also not working. What is happening? This is too much color theory. This is when it's like, whoa, let me get a designer. This is too much. So how do I download it? The way that I've done it in the past is just write down the styles one by one, which I guess I can do again, but I thought these features would be cool if they're working, but they don't seem to be working. All right, that's fine. That's fine. So we'll just grab the colors. Primary, secondary, tertiary. I'll call it third. So which one do I want for my actual background? Yeah, I want an off-white. I think the highest contrast will be this yellowish color. I think the red and the purple are less dissimilar so that it will pop less. So I'm going to take this one, and I'll take the RGB form so that I can turn it into RGBA. So here's the RGB form, and I'll lighten it even further through RGBA. Okay? So we're going to go over here, Dear Valentine. We're going to select the whole body. And we'll give this class off-white background. Or screenshot it. Mac will let you copy paste the text. That's great advice. Thanks. Yeah, if I had read that a few moments ago, I probably would. So here we are in the body. Yeah, we can just target the body in this case. Off-white background makes sense as a class name if I'm just doing the color, but if I'm doing all these different styles, it makes sense to directly target the body. So here I will do background color. We'll do RGBA. Okay, and I just copied those numbers from the website. And then here, let me look at it like this. So I'll start with 1, which means no transparency at all. refresh the page, and you can see it's darker than I want. You see what I mean? So let me go over here, and then in DevTools, I will manipulate the 1 value, and let's start just binary search, divide it right down the middle. And here I'll add maybe a 5, and then whoa, that didn't work the way I wanted. I thought it would let me go up and down by 0.01, but it didn't let me do that. All right, well, we'll backspace and type. 3, 2, 1. 1 feels like too little. 2, 3. 3, 3. Is this just vanilla HTML? Yep, HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS. So right here, this color is written in CSS. Inside of the style tag, the language inside of the style tag is CSS. Do you use Copilot? Yes, I do. In fact, part of this, we started with Copilot, although it sort of bungled it. Okay, so there is the background color that I'm seeking. Now let's change up the heart. We don't want no boring red. We want a special cool red. And I'm liking something sort of pinkish. So let me go one of these two. Any of these 3, chat, let me know. Maybe the middle one. Make the image have a glow when you hover over it. Great call. Let's do it. Great call. Here I can use some CSS variables. Let me bring up Copilot now. CSS variable for the Valentine pink color, the Valentine pink RGBA color. There you go. Now we have a CSS variable. Good job. Accept it. Now I can use Valentine pink, my custom CSS variable, instead of red, so that I can still have a variable instead of copying and pasting the expression there. Can CSS selectors be encoded to change on every build? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. I'm not super sure why you would want to do that, but you could. Whoa, my heart just disappeared. My heart just disappeared. Because I've used this expression incorrectly. Fix this incorrect CSS variable usage. Bummer. It just copied and pasted it for me. I will copy and paste it if I have to, but I want to go ask GPT-4. I want to get a second opinion. Why is using the custom CSS variable not working? I think it might be because I need to nest the values under root. Oh, it's var. Okay, that's what I did wrong. GPT-4 over Copilot so frequently. I'm serious, y'all. GPT-4 is still the GOAT. Okay, so I wrote Valentine pink. I should have written as such. As such. Saving. Thanks so much for sharing the like. Thanks for being here. Refreshing. Now I got my Valentine pink. And doesn't this look better than just red on white? This looks cooler, right? There's like a pastel vibe. It's unique to me. I'm going to give this to my daughter, and she's going to be getting a specific, like nobody else is, it's unique compared to what anybody else is making, right? Would you ever do a tutorial on setting up and using an Astro.js theme? Absolutely. I'm a humble servant of the audience. Yeah, go to go to any of my TikToks and write down on the comments, or you can DM me, or you can send me an email, just so I don't lose track of it. You can go over to GitHub and like make a GitHub issue. So here's the Latterly website. It's open source. You can go to the bottom, click the GitHub, and file an issue in the upper left. Here, I'll go ahead and do it since I'm here. Bro wants an Astro JS tutorial. Custom theme and tutorial. Let's do light mode and dark mode because reasons. Feel free to drop a comment if you want to change that feature request. Well, there's a specific theme I've been wanting to learn as well. Yeah, go add a comment on that. Add any details that you're curious about, and I'll take it all into consideration. Okay, so this is looking good. I actually don't want to RGBA it and lighten it. I like the lightness on it currently. In fact, I want to lighten up the background just a bit such that it's .25. So I'm command F .33, finding this location, changing to .25. So this looks good. Let me now add a border to it. And we can use the purple color for the border. Any of these might do. Do we want a lighter border, a darker border? I guess we'll start with one and hover to the other. Does that sound right? We'll start with one. And do I want it dark and then hover to light? No, I think you start with light and hover to dark. That makes more sense, right? We can always switch, but I'm going to start with light and hover to dark. Thanks for the follow. So here we'll go to this kind of light purple, copying this, and so here we have Valentine light purple, RGBA this one, okay. What else? And then we'll have a dark purple, Valentine dark purple, and that will be the other color. And you can see how we're sort of like building our theme out of this stuff. Which of these, do I want the darkest or just this like second to darkest? Which of these looks better? Ooh, it could like kind of animate between them and kind of roll around. That'll be awesome. Let me grab them both. Far right. Hey, Devis, thanks for the suggestion. I'm actually going to use both of them. Valentine, very dark purple. Gradient, yeah, we might do a gradient. I don't know if gradient is the right word. Okay, yeah, basically a rolling gradient is what I want to do. That is what I want to do. A rolling gradient, an animated gradient. Although I could do an animated gradient with either one of these colors and just animate the transparency. That could be potentially easier. We'll see. We'll try each way. So we have the pink, we have the light purple, dark purple, very dark purple. I think that's good. And then here we'll use the this sort of like Valentine gold. And then the Valentine light gold. So light gold will be with the 75% transparent, and then Valentine gold will be with the like 0% transparent. Okay, so we basically have our theme now, so we can close this page at this point. I'm going to do a commit here, which is feet. Really, this is a style commit, Valentine theme. Okay, so we'll just get that theme stored. I can add the border manually. Let's try that. Just whatever for clout, I guess. Really, what I should do is I should ask GPT to take care of it now. But let me try this. Just so that the haters aren't like, oh, he went straight to GPT kind of thing. So there's the heart circle right, heart circle left, and then quote unquote heart. So here, let me add the border. I'll start with black, 1 pix solid black. And we can see as desired, it is just doing the exterior. Maybe want a 2 pix solid black, huh? Okay. That looks pretty good. All right, now let's go over here. We'll do, what about heart circle? Border, 2 pix solid black. And you can see then here is an undesired boobification where it kind of like cuts into the heart, right? I don't want all that. What I want is like a continuous segment down there. So one way to address this is through the Z index. Basically, currently the circle is sitting on top of the square underneath. One thing I can do is force it behind. Nope, that doesn't seem to work because it is an HTML child. So if these were siblings, I could do that. But because they're nested, the child will never go underneath the parent. Cascading style sheet is using this like slices of paper on top of each other model. So it doesn't matter how hard you push the top paper, it's always on the top, right? All right. So I think the solution is going to be to take these heart circles and make them siblings of the heart instead of children. Before I do that, let's think about, is there another way? Not that I can think of. I could create, yeah, there is. I could create another layer of HTML inside. So I could, like another div, which is like here. And then I could use that to cover up this one portion down there. That's possible, but it really doesn't seem clean or ideal. Try Z index, but apply it to both. Okay. So it's on the left circle already, and now we will try it on the parent as well. So here I have a Z index 10. All right, that doesn't work. Let me try a negative as well, and we can see that that doesn't work. So again, the reason that's not going to work is because of the idea of stacking sheets of paper, which is the thought process and the box model of cascading style sheets or CSS. As long as they are nested from an HTML perspective, it's never going to matter what their index is. They'll need to be siblings from a structural perspective for that to matter. So let's go do that now. Alternatively, now that I've kind of done some preparatory homework and got my mental model ready, I can ask ChatGPT and see if it does what I expected. I want to say apply the CSS variables as a theme to the heart shape. Specifically, add a foo border to the heart shape elements. And I put the word foo there, and we're going to change foo. We want it to be the Valentine light purple prior to hover. Add a Valentine light purple border. Hey, one surefire way is to make another heart behind it, but 1 pixel bigger. That's actually a very surefire way to do it. Let's see if that's what GPT comes up with. So it's just doing the border approach, which is also what I thought of. So we'll see if it restructures the divs. No. So it's basically doing the same naive solution that I did, and we can test this, but I expect it will run into the same problem. So pasting over, looking at my diff here, I'm noticing light color purple to find an unnecessary comment. So we will drop that. Use CSS variable. Oh, good. Yeah, hey, that was a good catch on GPT's part, actually. And then it's added this heart circle right here. And I like the way it did that, right? It's using the comma to apply this CSS rule to both cases instead of duplicating the line, which is what I did. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's giving the overlapping visual. And here's something crazy I can do. Here's something crazy I can do with GPT-4 is it can look at the picture. This creates an undesired visual effect where the circular borders cut in to the cut inside the heart shape, as shown in the attached picture. And then I'll ask it as a question: do we need to alter the HTML relation such that heart circle divs are siblings of the heart div rather than children? And I'll ask it as a question so that it can potentially push back and say, like, no, there's a different way to solve that. Matthew says, hey, what are you working on? What's up, Matthew? We're doing a Valentine's themed HTML programming heart. And we're having trouble with our borders right now. So hashtag Texas. No, sorry. So let's see what GPT is saying. Yes, you're correct. The current structure has as children, causing the borders to overlap. One of the problems here is that sometimes if you like complain to GPT, it'll just agree with you, even if you're wrong. So we'll test it. We'll test it and see if this fixes the issue. But we might need to clear the chat and start a new chat to wipe its memory of the fact that I complained. If it's just doing like confirmation bias on me, which would be bad. So here's the body, really small body here. Selecting that, replacing with the guidance from GPT. Grabbing this CSS. How much is here? It's starting with the body, it looks like. Starting with the body. There's heart wrapper. Yeah, so it's not clear which styles it's actually using there. Is body targeted twice? Let's look. One, it's only targeted once. Here I'll say format document, no default formatter for HTML. Let's use Prettier. All right, now Prettier's kicking in. Got the Prettier extension for VS Code, highly recommend. I have to build a programming language in my APL class. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, writing your own programming language is no fun. Ooh, you should check out the video on hater script. This is hilarious. There's the GitHub for it, but I think the video is funnier. Is it 2 words, hater script? Nope. That's just giving all kinds of false positives now. So let's go back to the GitHub. Maybe the GitHub will mention the YouTube. No? Oh, live demo. Is this? Where's the YouTube video? I mean, there's a hilarious YouTube video to go with this. Maybe you can look up Connor Ardman on YouTube. In this guy's mind, programming means hold this L. Bro really stopped programming and went to code value like nerd. Listen, buddy, I'm not even going to watch. And then let's run it. And it gives you these values, whatever. You don't know programming, bud. So these are real tokens. Like each of these tokens is a language operator. This guy created hater script out of his YouTube video comments from people that were his haters. It's so good. Blocked just means like the end of a function. It's like the end of your function body. It's just blocked. Okay, good stuff. Wow, that's definitely not a heart. Wow, that's so not a heart. But now I can potentially use z-index, right? So here's z-index 100, okay. Is this a div block? It is a div block. And then here is z-index -1. Okay, so you see how it's popping under now. I got it popping under. And here's the other heart circle, z-index -1. Now I've got both of the hearts popping, or both of the circles popping under the square, which is half of what I want. The other thing I wanted to do is, like on this square, make the top border invisible. It's not really the top. I mean, it's the top and right borders prior to rotation, make those invisible. Okay, so let's carry on with that. I think I also need to modify the positioning a bit. So here, right circle, let's increase the rightness. That's a bad idea. Ooh, do I need to rotate the whole thing? Nope, still doesn't look like a heart. Yeah, that's not helping the hardiness, if you will. Okay, heart wrapper seems good to me. Heart itself, we could say that it's bad and move it, or we could say that it's fine and move the circles. I think that's isomorphic. So border is 2 pixels solid, Valentine's light purple, but I don't think that's right. I think we only want 2 edges. So here, let's say, is it bottom border or border bottom? I think it's border bottom. Border bottom. Okay. And that has impacted these circles as well. So we want to decouple that. Okay, so there's some improper coupling going on in the circles. Yeah. Let's mention this to GPT and see if it can fix it. There's improper coupling going on between the heart and heart circle borders. The heart needs to only have a border on 2 sides. So that the heart square, let's say, needs to only have a border on 2 sides so that the interior of the heart has no border on top. The circles can have borders all the way around, but then they need a negative z-index so that part of the border is overlapped by the square. Or else they should not have a border 100% of the way around. I don't know if that phrasing makes sense to robots, but we'll see. Do you pay for GPT? Absolutely. Worth every cent and then some. Okay, so it's going to be printing out to resolve the border issue. In the meantime, let's resolve the other issue, which is the positioning issue. So here, top right, let's see. What if I only modify top? Can slide that down. The sizes are off, are they? There might also be a size adjustment which needs to take place. Okay, so top. How do I make that heart like boop? My brain, I'm like steering at an angle and my brain is like, what's going on? It's awesome. Okay. Maybe from there, maybe that's about the right position and then we just need to make it bigger. Whoa. That was crazy. Okay, 160 looks too big. How about 140? That looks wrong. Maybe that looks kind of right. Oh gosh. I feel like the world's worst artist. Okay, so 120 is looking okay, but now let's fix the positioning some more. You see the idea I'm going for? Oh, actually, you know what? It needs to shrink less than 120. Maybe it should just be 100 after all. Okay, so now we're all the way back to 100. Okay. So 100 is kind of fine, and that whole thing that I just did was really goofy. I don't know why things are the way that they are. This looks like it's kind of working there. 18. What's magic about 18? I don't know. Mathematician in the chat. And then I guess this would be the inverse. So there's the minus 18 and the this is like so bad. Why is it lopsided, dude? We'll get there, but okay, so this one's going to be 30. Is that correct? Okay, are they are symmetrical? 30 and 18, 30 and 18. Yeah. And you can see that we're swapping the top and the left right direction as well. Okay, so that's kind of the idea I'm going for. Hey Latterly, what's your take on the current market for entry squeeze? It's awful. It's really rough, isn't it? I mean, was that the whole question? Oh, here's an additional thing. Even though it's awful, there have not been as many layoffs in January this year as a year ago. So year over year, it's getting better, and then also month over month, it's getting better. So even though it's awful, it's getting better. If that makes you feel better. But yeah, if I were in your shoes, I'd be signing up for Latterly, joining the Discord. Let me show you where the Discord is, and I'd be trying to network. So here, community, Discord, you can go to the Discord for free. Try to get a minimum of 500 LinkedIn contacts. Once you hit 500, a special thing happens where LinkedIn just says 500 plus. It just says 500 plus. So try to break that number so that you can have a big network and you'll get a whole bunch more opportunities, basically. Focus on social networking. You can check out the Latterly networking scripts. If you're like, how do I network? What do I say? Who do I talk to? We got recommended scripts for you, and also like people that you should reach out to. Recruiter, other engineers, managers, and recruiters. But you can just start with the people on the Latterly Discord. You can knock out like 100 contacts that way. Okay. I want to update these before continuing. Left circle. Thank you. Very welcome. Thanks for being here. So there is 30 and 18, and then the right was the minus 18 pixels and then 30 pixels. Refreshing the page, and that's messed up. Great. Sometimes a failure is a good thing. It lets you validate your fix to a greater degree. Nope, that wasn't it. So this is the 18 side then? Oh. Have I lost total contact with CSS? Okay, it was right. The word was right over here. And the right is the negative. Okay, yeah, that's where we wanted it. All right. I'm going to stage this so that whenever I look at the changes from GPT, I'm able to get back to this state, because this is like an important state, right? Make a little backup copy. Is it okay to use GPT as a crutch? No, do not use GPT as a crutch. Here's the problem with overvaluing GPT. It hallucinates and it never admits when it's wrong. Particularly if you're using GPT 3.5, the thing is not that smart. It will get confused very quickly. And if you are using it as a crutch, you will not recognize when it's getting confused. You need to be able to steer it. Don't let it steer you. It's a fantastic tool. I use it every day. I love it. But I'm always using it in a context where ahead of time, I already have a general idea of what I expect it should say. I already know what it should say. It's just doing the legwork for me. You see what I mean? That's how you can avoid using it as a crutch. Otherwise, it will be leading you around and it will get confused because it's only going to answer your question. If it's just going to answer your questions. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to ask the right question. It's going to give you a stupid answer and it's going to be the blind leading the blind. You need to already have an expectation of what it should say. I only use 4.0 and I prompt it best I can. And yes, I agree with that 100%. Okay, great. Good feedback. And I would say try to speak to it with good grammar and incomplete sentences. Use question marks, things like this. Sometimes just having an odd sentence structure will confuse it. So I've seen people, some of my students will type in, like you go to Google, you'll say CSS rules colors. And I've had some people that will like type this into ChatGPT, like ChatGPT is a Google search engine. And it's like, that's not a coherent question. And it just spits out some dumb things like red, green, blue. Like, is that really what you wanted? I don't think that's what you wanted it to say. Okay. Is this different. This looks the same. Heart wrapper, heart, heart circle. Heart wrapper, heart, heart circle. So I'm pasting it, but I'm expecting no changes. Yeah, that's the same thing that was already there. Okay. This interesting minus 50 pixels position, that'll be fantastic if that looks correct. It looks more elegant than what I did. What I did worked, but it seems sort of like coincidental, arbitrary, like not really elegant. Oh, but what I did is way better than what they did. But they have the z index and they have the z index thing correct. So let me roll back Command Z a second time and a third time, and I'm going to highlight preserving the left and right circles. So that here I will delete GPT's left and right circle style. Okay. We'll get to the formatting in a moment. Okay, does this look better? Not really. Not really. That's okay. We can just mess around with it and fix it anew. We can fix it anew. That's fine. So let me go ahead and format, Command S. We will read through these. Body, just making sure there's no duplicates, getting rid of these unnecessary comments. Center the wrapper and viewport, fine, why not? But actually, that isn't necessary at all. It should be centered anyway, yeah? Yeah, that margin was unnecessary. Because this is justify center, and what about this relative positioning? Do we need that? Maybe, maybe not. Whoa, okay, we did need that. What about these? See, because we are display flex, I don't think we need all this stuff. So I'll comment that and I'll leave it for now. Let me do the same with the margin. Really not sure we need display flex either. Heart wrapper. I'm not sure what the display flex is buying us in this case. Okay, so I've left it around, but I've commented it because like I don't know what it's doing. If you don't know what it does, you probably shouldn't have it in your code. Pro tip. Otherwise, you get hacked. Okay, it's fixed the Z index. That's looking good. Absolute positioning, I understand. Because we're using the absolute positioning in combination with the relative is the reason that the margin and justify don't seem to make sense to me, because the absolute is going to dominate. And the absolute is what we are actually leveraging here. Why do we want to use absolute and relative? Because think about it. The shape of a heart has 3 parts, and they are relatively positioned. You always want the bumps above the square part. Like you always want, wherever it is, you always want that relative positioning between those 3 elements. So relative positioning is proper in this case. Now I just need to fool around with the 30 and the 18. So let's do so. DevTools is really, really cool. Bam! I think we're looking pretty good. I'm not really sure what the top, I think we can get rid of the top now. So left is minus 36. And then let's see if we can do the reciprocal for the right. Comment that, and then here. By the way, we're going to clean up all the code comments before we're done, so I wouldn't want that to stay in the code base. That part does not look good. Why does the reciprocal not work? That's kind of unexpected. So that looks kind of okay, but it also looks dopey. That looks okay. I mean, what do you think? Or do we just take it down to 0? That looks good as well. Yeah, I don't know. That looks kind of good. Hello, how's it going? I'm really sort of baffled by the fact that the asymmetry is not or the symmetry is not holding up. Yeah, the top is 0. So I can draw it in more if I want. I don't think I want to though. I don't know. It kind of has a slightly lopsided shape, but it's kind of cool maybe. The original intent was that the tops of the hearts would be even with one another. So is that at 0 or what is that at? -2, -2. Okay. No, I don't like the -2. It's giving me sort of a weird artifact on the. Okay, so I think this is good. 0 -6 -36. Then over here, let's make that also 0. And it'll be 2. So yeah, the tops are even now. What new code you make today? We're making a Valentine's Day heart. We'll go with this. I don't know. Like it doesn't look perfect, but I think it looks good enough. What do you think? So we have 0, 2, and then 0 -36. I'm really confused about the asymmetry there, going to be honest with you. But it looks good, so. Zero and 2, 0, 36, right, 2. Oh, is it because one is using left? The left versus right explains the asymmetry. So what if I pick left here? Now if I do -36, whoa, that didn't work at all. Well, that said -362. There you go. It's the right versus left is what was causing the discrepancy. So if they both use left, then it's 36 versus 34. That one I still don't get. Is it just because I'm eyeballing off a pixel? There could be like a 1 pixel difference, but it feels a lot more symmetrical at left -36, left +34. And also I'm noticing that the border is 2 pixels, so maybe that explains the difference. I'm not sure. But I think it looks pretty good. The Valentine's heart looks good. Thank you. VR glass controller connecting an air fighter. Can you program that? I could probably figure it out if you gave me enough time, but like why? Not really into Halliburton or whatever. Okay, so this looks good. Let me also save this code. Okay, so this is another style commit, and this is style heart with border. Cool, we'll go through, get rid of some of the code comments. Don't want these. I guess that was about it. Now, time for the gradient. Update this code. So let's do the one thing at a time. Let's do one thing at a time. So we can darken. We want to darken the border. And did we want to darken or lighten the heart itself? I think we'll start with the shiny gold glow. Update this heart so that there is a rotating shiny gold glow behind it on hover. Use the non-light gold theme color CSS variable. That's very poorly put, but I think there's enough relevance that it'll understand it. Light blue color type, please. No thanks. No thanks. Although it could be cool to like change the heart to whatever color you want, like a color selector. Let's make an issue over here. Heart color selectors. User has a color picker to pick the primary heart color. Hover color is logically computed from that automatically. That'll be a cool improvement. Okay. You are a profi programmer. I don't know what that means. All right, so here is the cool bit. But it's using a before rather than an on hover. Senior programmer. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a senior programmer. All right, so after my heart wrapper, let's keep the styles together. So we want to put this right after the heart wrapper. Then we have a heart wrapper before and a heart wrapper hover after. That I don't think that it's what I wanted though, is it? Yeah, no, this is not what I wanted. I want like little peaks that is kind of like spinning. This also seems slightly off center. Oh, it is slightly off center. Look at that. I want the, is it using a drop shadow? It's using a background image. Is it better to use a background image or to use a drop shadow? Either is fine for me. Either is fine for me, but I want it to not be circular. I want there to be visible points or peaks, and they should move or spin while the heart is hovered. That is, it should be animated, not just using a translation. It should be continuously animated. Because if I hover once, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it just stays there, right? It doesn't seem to still be moving by my eyes anyway. How you learning programming code type? We're just learning by doing, right? So this is project-based learning. You can look at the documentation when necessary. Oh, and rubber ducking with ChatGPT. Using a drop shadow might not achieve the desired result. Good. I'm glad it pushed back. It's a good sign when GPT is willing to push back on you. That's a good sign for your prompting. Keyframe spin. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. We can create a spinning starburst effect. See, sometimes it's a vocabulary thing, especially when it comes to design patterns, component names. A spinning starburst effect is exactly what I want. I just didn't know to ask for it. That's one of the things that GPT excels at, is the tip of the tongue phenomena, where you know sort of like the related words, the related concept. You can describe something, but you don't have the word. It'll absolutely help you. It's helped me find bands that I couldn't remember. I could sort of remember what songs were about, but I couldn't even remember the precise lyrics, and it would still help me. Thanks for the likes. Quick reminder, if you're on TikTok, you can go over to YouTube or Twitch and see the whole screen. Large volume from ChatGPT and this prompt pass. Okay, so we're going to just try to copy this whole thing and replace our code. Here I can see the git diff, so I can quickly see what it changed. We know it added the spin. That's great. It's also added this before for the starburst. And that's most of what it added. It's taken out the background color on the heart. That's interesting. I'll be curious to see what happens there. Okay. And now we have a spinning starburst, but it's in the wrong location. That's funny. Do you see that? Not quite what I was going for, but not completely off the mark either. The borders have gotten messed up again. Right, so this is the reason the borders got messed up again. This cannot be on the heart. We can fix that easily enough. Okay, so it thought it was extracting the background color to a common location, but it was actually doing a disservice. That's why it eliminated the background color. You see how we're working together with ChatGPT? I am not just taking it at face value. But we can move the background color to the shared location. That's fine. This border, however, should not be. Whoa. Did I delete it out of the shared location? So we are sharing the background color, and we should not be sharing the border. Okay, I think I switched. Yeah, I did that backwards basically. So we are sharing the background color and we are not sharing the border. All right, now that looks good. Now when I hover, the starburst shows up, but it's in the wrong location. So how can we get that starburst in the right location? And it's just using a show hide on the opacity. Oh, well, it's transitioning the opacity as well. All right, that seems to be a good approach. So the thing is always spinning in the background, and it will ease in and out on hover and dehover. Does that make sense? So this spin, who is using it? So here's the spin animation. It's spin linear infinite. Spin on this before element. And I don't want to use these pseudo elements. So we will make heart wrapper spinner. Heart wrapper spinner, and this can be the hover effect. So there's heart wrapper spinner hover, and then here is heart wrapper spinner. We'll get rid of this content element. So the content is what defines it as like a div basically, and we'll just make an explicit div. Copilot with the assist. That can go under the, really this can be outside of the whole heart wrap. No, it should be part of the heart wrapper. I'll put a gap here to indicate that it's semi-different. Nikhil Kondo, what's up? Hi there on YouTube. How's it going? Okay, so here we can see it. But wherever I hover, it's not showing up, is it? Let's fix the opacity so that it's visible. Opacity 1. So we forced it to be visible. What's going on with the scroll bar there? That's funny. That's a strange scroll bar artifact, if you ask me. But that's okay. So the position here is off. We'll just remove that top and left. It seems to be a little bit better already. Okay. Because it's doing an absolute position, and we are not doing that. So what if you make this relative? So now that it's relative, it can be a minus 50. So absolute would be if we put it outside of the heart wrapper, and maybe we should. Thank you for the likes. I also kind of want to shift the entire heart slightly to the right and up so that the box model corners are symmetrical basically, because it's slightly off center right now. Although it's also kind of cute that it's slightly off center, but that wasn't intentional. So yeah, let's move this such that it is not inside of the heart wrapper. Okay, so there's the heart wrapper and then his sibling, the heart wrapper spinner. Now that they are siblings, it makes a bit more sense. Whoa, that guy's way out there. It makes a bit more sense for it to be absolutely positioned, but it doesn't make sense for it to have a 300% width. Let's make that 100%. And this is now taking what, 100% of the page size? So something strange is still going on here. What if we back it down to 50%? Okay, so consider that the spinner is 50% of the height of the page. Then we would not want to start it at this top 50%. We would want to start it at the top 25% because it will go 25% margin, 50% of the spinner itself, another 25% margin, adding to 100% of the page size. Do you see why I reduced it to 25, 25, 50? Now that it is out of the context. And it will be a rectangular spinner because if it's 100% height, 100% width, and the page itself is a rectangle, that's the reason. We could force it to have, instead of 50% width, we could have it as a fixed width and have it be a square. I think we should, because a rectangular spinner is weird to me, is my entire justification. So the 140 pix here, I think we can just double that basically and go for a 280 pix. And now we're met with the problem that the left and top are going to be strangely offset. That's okay. We can can we avoid position absolute? I kind of think we can, right? This is the heart wrapper spinner. What's it got to do with where the heart is? Okay, it's sort of pushing the heart around. You see where the spinner's at right now? I wonder if it should be a flex. Does it hurt anything if I make it a display flex? Doesn't seem to. Okay, now let's move this thing back inside of there. But now that the parent is flex, will that be to my advantage? So now I can say justify self center. Nope, it's not going to work because, let's see, is it because of the absolute? Display flex on the parent element prevents justify self from having any effect. Okay, that's fine. So let's go to the parent here. Justify content center. Align items center. And that is working on the heart elements, but not on the spinner. Bummerville. Oh, yeah, it does. Hold on. It does work on the spinner as well. Once I take off the top and left. Now, can I undo those? So we restore the heart, even get rid of the display flex, and then have this guy flex itself. Ooh, display grid on the parent. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah? Okay. Grid saves the day. So grid is allowing us to use a combination of flex absolute and relatively displayed elements. Cool. I didn't know grid did that. Grid for the win. That's a real use case for grid. Let's make a note of that as well. Gotta love these little micro projects. I at one point thought it would be a great illustration of flex. It's actually a great illustration of grid. So what are we gridding? The heart wrapper? Yeah, the heart wrapper is a display grid. Heart wrapper, display, grid. And I'll say using a grid here allows a combination of absolute and relative positioning. Allows one, a combination of absolute and relative positioning, and two, the spinner can align and justify self, while other elements are not flex. Cool. Should it go above or below the word display grid? I don't know. So now we are including the spinner back in here. So we're including it in here after all. We're getting rid of the top and the left. Even the absolute, I think. justify self-center, align self-center. It's the opacity is not transitioning properly though. Heart wrapper spinner hover. Heart wrapper spinner. So opacity is 1 on hover. Yeah, opacity is 1 on hover. Why is that not working? All right, let's do one thing at a time. So first we're getting rid of the left, right, and absolute. We're going to say align self-center and justify self-center. I think we're going to do the CSS important just for debugging purposes. No, that didn't fix it. So it's centered and aligned properly. Maybe we can tone it down to 200 a little bit. Why is the opacity transition not working? I changed the code to not use a pseudo element. Why is the opacity transition now failing? Cool, and we're getting into the last 10 minutes here, y'all. Thanks for being here. Over 3,000 likes, thank you so much. However, the spinner is not being hovered, it's the heart wrapper. Yep, that's right. Therefore, it should be triggered. That's right. That's right. Okay. There we go. So now we get the appear and disappear. I want it to spin a bit slower. Does 1s make it 3 times faster or 3 times slower? Let's see. Whoa, that's way too fast. Here, let's go with 36S, 360 degrees. That's kind of cool, huh? Is that too slow? What do you think, chat? Is that cool or is that too slow? I kind of like it personally. Starburst effect CSS. I want to look up a couple alternatives. Yeah, so those are basically what I want, but what's being drawn doesn't quite look like that, does it? Yeah, I actually do want this starburst, but the thing being drawn doesn't quite look like that. It's too spiky. Okay, so now I've forced it to show so that I can sort of troubleshoot it a bit. How about this radial gradient 2 pix? If I expand that, will that help me? Not really. Now it just looks like a bunch of circles. So what's up with this circle here? What other options do I have? Ah, so the circle at is a cool trick. There's closest side. It's still giving me basically a circle. And I don't want these repeated circles. That's not what I'm going for. That looks pretty cool, not gonna lie. That's not what I want, but that looks cool. GPT-4 is struggling. So is that 1122 a more confusing way to say aligned? No, it looks like it's in the wrong place now. Circle at center, repeating radial gradient. Let's see, that's interesting. Radial gradient versus repeating radial gradient. I would have thought what we were looking at was the repeating radial gradient. Thank you for the likes. What is going on, dude? That looks crazy. It doesn't seem to have improved the situation, does it? There's just a bunch of dots now. So let's, instead of asking GBT, CSS rays, CSS animated rays. Sun rays, yeah, how about that? This is kind of what I'm trying to do, basically. Ooh, mask image. Nice. So let's try this. Whoa, that still does not look like what I want. Why am I getting these circles? Seems like no one else is getting these circles. So there's the sun. This body has a linear gradient. That's fine. Repeating conic gradient. What is that? What if I get rid of that? Oh, I can't edit it. Bummerville. This keyframe scale seems also very useful. Yeah, the spinning, this is what I want, dude. All right, let's follow the, oh, there's a logo PNG. Yeah, that doesn't matter. We have the spin. Iterating count, okay. Oh, Microsoft IE, it says. Why is it saying Microsoft IE? I'm tripped out. All right, let's inspect this. We don't need the logo at all, right? This is what we're looking at. This is the raise. So in our case, this would be the spinner. Background URL. He's literally got an image there that's a PNG file. Oh, that so feels like cheating. Yeah, there's no PNG in this one. You can use a PNG, SV, or gradient to mask, for example. Do they use a PNG? I can't really even see what difference it does when I check that on and off. Oh, okay. It sort of blurs the edges. I'm fine with or without it, actually. So that masking seems optional. Transition origin center seems important. That's crazy. Even this whole after is optional, actually. This one is not, though. It's this repeating conic gradient. Yeah, so this kind of does what I want. All right, so let me talk to ChatGPT. Let's try a repeating conic gradient. Maybe calling the desired image more like sun rays instead of starburst is helpful. Another site used a bit of CSS like this. All right, so this is, I think, the main bit that we care about. It's put the animation back up to 3 seconds. That's fine. I'll just slow it back down. So after the height 200, we'll drop this in. Let's see what happens here. Yay, that's a lot. That's basically what I want. I was kind of thinking of like tips that were sort of M-shaped or W-shaped, but that's sort of a nice to have. You're here? Where's Allie Bell? I've just about finished her heart. So my daughter had an allergy attack and they had to go to the urgent care and they're just now getting back. That's pretty much close enough. I do want to see the heart itself alter color. Okay, so where's the heart itself? The indentation is like so annoying. When I do a new line, it indents like that. Let's do both of these hovers. I think that's fine. And Valentine pink, we can make to Valentine light pink. And if this looks terrible, we can always change it. Do we want to lighten or darken on hover? That's what I'm not sure about. Well, it didn't seem to work at all, did it? Oh, it's getting the square. It's only getting the square. Yeah, doing the transparency approach is not good here. Can I show you the heart? Look at that.
Daddy made that for you.
And I have a spin. Ready? Mm-hmm. See the spin?
Isn't that a nice daddy?
Have a good sleep.
You ready for sleep now? Okay.
Bye-bye.
Say love you, Daddy.
I do want to change the color on hover, but transparency didn't seem to be a good move. So let's go for the we can try the darker color, and we can also try using this color picker so that we are sliding the color and not the transparency. So we just go towards white a bit. Like that. So changing what light pink means. That's like it's like too gray. Oh, this is where HSL could come in. Basically, I don't want to change the hue. I just want to lighten it only. Okay, so here we have an RGB, Valentine's pink. We're grabbing this RGBA, and I can click this and switch to HSL like this. HSL, and the L is the lightness is the 62. Okay, and we will just bump it up to maybe 80. That might be too much, but anyway, you can see it retains the hue and it just lightens it only. Okay, so that is lightening the correct way, although I'm still not sure if I like it. And I might want the saturation to increase. It looks a little bit too gray to me. I think we should just go for the dark color at this point. Also, why is it only impacting the heart and not the heart circles? Oh, yep. So we want to hover on the wrapper. It's the same mistake I made with the other. So when I hover on the wrapper, And then change the color of the heart and the heart circles both. Oop, Command B. Yep, okay. Now it's kind of popping. So let's compare that to, so that'll be a light pop, and we'll compare that to a dark pop, if that makes sense. And what I had in mind for these darker colors was to animate the border color, though. That kind of looks cool too. I think I want a thicker border. I think the 2 pix is not doing it for me. So this will be the heart border thickness, and we'll make that 3 pixels now. A little bit thicker of a border. I like that. It looks a little more cartoony. The offset is still messed up though. Or like it's even more messed up now, actually. Okay, so that becomes a 32. Other side becomes minus 35. It's like more asymmetrical. Oh, I guess that it's only a change of 1. Nope, that was backwards. We'll stick with a light pop. And then I don't think you're going to be able to see, even if I did animate the borders from dark to darker, I don't think you'd be able to see it. Anywho, there you go. Oh, it could be cool if you click the heart, it sort of changes base colors. I'll put that in the issue. Make the heart itself a color picker, so it has a cursor over it. Or make the heart itself a random color toggler, not a picker. All right, anyway, that'll do it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you had some fun. Happy Valentine's Day.